What's up, guys? This is Goro from SGTCG, bringing you guys a Bonney deck list. So this is it's something I did early on in the channel. I wanted to go over a deck list, make a deck list, show you guys how it works, how I play with it, a little bit of a little bit insight on the deck, and how I go about playing it. So this is my deck list. So if anybody you guys don't know, Bonney is when opponent attacks once per turn, you can rest one down, rest up to one of your opponent's leaders or characters. It's a very strong effect. So if your opponent has two characters on field and they're about to attack with one, you can rest the other one. So you're not worried about two attacks coming your way. And if your opponent's not paying attention to your leader's ability, and they swing for 5, you could counter out easily, and you have one of their, you would rest one of their characters first, or even their leader, and you could counter out for 1k. So it's a really strong ability, and she's a supernova and Bonney pirate, so obviously you're gonna play a good amount of supernovas. Very strong green leader. So Cavendish here, great card. So it's a supernova and beautiful pirates type character, like as you see on the bottom of the card. So on play and when attacking, if your leader is a supernova type, which Bonney is, and you have no other Cavendish on the field, you can activate 2 down. So if you are on your 5 down turn and you play the Cavendish and it's the only Cavendish you have on the field, you can reset 2 down. So for your 5 down turn, you're really only paying 3 down, and you get to have 2 down active. Then you use one of those down to save for your leader ability, and then attach 1 down, swing for 6. So really strong ability, lets you do a lot of cool fun plays, lets you play even a great place on your 10 down turn. You play Cavendish and then you can play Hawkins at the same turn. It's crazy. And then so Scratch Mana Pool is a 2k supernova, really only there just so as a searchable 2k. And then we also have the Izu 2k. So I really like this card. I've played this 2k in almost every single green deck that I've had, because on play you get to rest one of your opponent's characters who cost 4 or less. So like every single blocker people are using now, whether it be the Rebecca that people are using a lot in black, or even Borsellino, just to rest them, so you can either go for game if that blocker is intruding that. It's really good 2k to use in your deck. It's not searchable, which is a little rough, but I like using her. I have a lot of like for this card. And then we played the Useless Kid, right? Just trademarking a lot of green decks. Supernovas type, so it's searchable by Bonney and also by the More Pizza here. So searchable card, you can find this, as opposed to when people were playing it in the Uta deck. It was a little rough because it's not searchable in that deck, and you would bottom deck it a lot when you would need to see it a lot, especially in like the mirrors. But this kid is 1 down on your opponent's turn. If it's rested, your opponents can't attack anything other than this useless kid. And it being an 8k, it's harder for them to get to that 8k, and you could counter out a lot easier with all these 2ks, 1ks that you have in your deck. And you can hide behind it, right? You can hide behind this kid, play more cards the next turn, and just start getting really aggressive. The next turn, start swinging 9s at it with the down attached. And just start getting as aggressive as you can. Then we have the Downgrade the Doflamingo. I like playing this card at 2. Some people are playing it like 3 or 4. I don't like having it up there too much because I value other cards just as much. It's a great 10 down turn play, rest. So 3 of your opponent's rested characters or leaders don't become active. So if they swing out with their board, you could pick and choose up to 3 characters to stay rested, so they don't refresh in the next phase. Really strong card towards the end games. We have Don Quixote Resonante blocker. On your opponent's turn, if one of your rested characters would be KO'd, you may instead trash this character. So against like black decks, if you have the 8 cost kid and it's rested, obviously and they try to get rid of it through effects, start trying to KO it, not by battle. This doesn't matter, whatever the KO ability is. If it gets KO'd, then you could instead trash this blocker, right? So they have to trash this, KO this blocker first, and then try to KO something else. But this Resonante just protects anything that's rested. Hody Jones, the one of the scariest green cards right now. You're always trying to play around, trying to always have that in the back of your mind. Hody Jones, on play, you can rest 2 of your opponent's characters or Don, or Don, so you can do 1 of each. And then you put the top life card into your hand. So that's a little scary. You start taking your life, but if you have a large life stack, like your opponent's not attacking you, you could just start taking a couple life, rest 2 of their characters, especially if they blockers, and just start going for game. End game, this card is scary as hell. So I have 4 of him because you want to see him at some point. And then now we play 2 of this 9 called Zoro. This Zoro is, I love playing the Zoro. This, especially if you have the kid on established, and the next turn you get to play Zoro. After that, your opponent just shitting bricks. Because if they can't get rid of this Zoro, they have to get rid of one or the other, right? The kid or the Zoro. And they're always going to try to get rid of the Zoro because this Zoro is going to attack 3 times for 9k, right? So when attacking once per turn, rest the Don, and you can restand the character. And then the next ability is once per turn for 2 Don, you can set this character as active. So you could swing, rest the Don, restand them, and then swing again. Once that goes through, you can restand them by using the second ability by resting 2 more Don. And if you have something like Cavendish, you're able to swing at least 1 more time no matter what with the Zoro. So that Zoro is great into a lot of matchups. Urag, another supernova. At the end of your turn, set 1 Don as active. Plays really well with your Bonney ability. On your 4 Don turn, you get to play this. End of the turn, restand 1. Now you get to use the leader's ability for whatever your opponent, if your opponent starts attacking. Basil Hawkins in this new OPO7. Disgusting blocker, right? So if your leader is a supernova in its type, this character gains blocker. So it's kind of not leader locked. Well, I guess it's leader locked, right? To anything that has supernova, because it's not a blocker. But once per turn, this character, if the character were to be removed from play, so no matter what the effect is, if it's either KO, bottom deck, put back into your hand, put into your life, whatever it is, if it's removed from play by an effect, you may instead rest 1 of your opponent's characters. So if they have something on field, they got to try to kill your Basil Hawkins 1 time in your turn, you get to rest their character instead. So it's kind of a cool play on too, because if you ever watched the show of Basil Hawkins' ability, like if he were to get like stabbed or something, he just takes out one of those little dolls as like a life, which is pretty cool. And how they did this card, I really enjoyed that. Then I played this 3-cost Barto blocker. So once per turn, on your turn only, if a character is rested from their own effects, draw 1, trash 1. So this kind of goes hand to hand with the Bonney that I like to do like a little extra play. And also I get to play this blocker off of Kid's ability. So if I have him on field and then we play Bonney, we search for Bonney, and since we rested her by an effect because of her activating main, you get to search with her and then draw 1, trash 1. So kind of filter your hand a little bit. It's a nice fun little play if your hand is starting to look bricked up or you don't have enough counter. It's a good blocker, right? Has a lot of different effects. And then we got Bonney here. So activate main, you play her for 1, and then for 1 down you get to search the top 5 for a supernova, which is almost everything in your deck. So you're gonna be hitting a lot of the times, right? Because we have 4, 8, 12. What else is supernova? 16, 20, 22. And Bonney can search herself. So 26. 30, 34. So with 34 cards, so over half your deck is searchable, so really hard for you to whiff. And also we have the more pizza that you can search into. And then we have another Scratch Mana pool, which is just another 2K searchable supernovas. And then this more pizza, right? So it's another searcher, just to be able to keep looking for what you need. Your kids, your Hawkins, for whatever game or whatever match that you're coming up against, you get to have. I like having these searchers to make sure I find what I need to play what I need, because otherwise, if you start, if you don't have, everything's random. And if you don't get what you need, you're going to start failing in your match. So I just like being able to search and cycle. So yeah, this is the deck list. We're going to see how it plays out. I've had a lot of fun playing this. I know a lot of people have certain little different ideas, but this is how I like to play the deck. I thought this was the most balanced, in my opinion. And yeah, so let's get over and see some gameplay. Alright guys, we got game 1 here, versus Monkey D Dragon. So I looked at this hand and they chose to go second. I go first. I saw the Cavendish and I saw the 2 Bartles. I was like, alright, it's not bad. So I decided to go ahead and take that. So the Cavendish on turn 3 is going to be great. I'm going to be able to restand those down. And drew into a more pizza, so we could start peeking and seeing what we got going on. Honestly, the best choice there probably would have been the Basil, but I just saw tunnel vision and took that Eustace Kid. So I already had one in hand, but I just took the Kid off of impulse. Probably could have got the Basil or something else there, but I just decided to take the Kid. He plays the promo Luffy, so 2 down attach, can't be KO'd by a strike attribute leader or character. I think it might have just been character. But he swings 7, I go ahead and rest it because I don't want him attaching the 2 down and then swinging again. But he plays Rush Sanji. So from what I've been seeing, this guy's kind of like techie from this. It's pretty cool. So he puts 2 down onto the Monkey D Luffy and then he moves it over. I guess that's cool, but he could have just moved the 2 down from his leader. It would have probably been the same thing. So I took the 7, then I decided to play the Cavendish, swing. I didn't know which one to swing at, so I left the 1 down for when he starts attacking next turn, but I didn't know which one to swing at, so I swung at the Sanji, thinking he's not going to counter, but I think, if I remember correctly, he counters this out. Gives me 2 cards. Yeah, he gave me 2 cards. He played the zero cost event. So it's a little worrisome, considering he's gonna have all these swings, and he's probably gonna play more rush cards. But I do have the 1 down. Bonney's ability is great, being able to rest that extra person. He plays the Karasu, which on play, if you have a Revolutionary Army leader, you get to give one of your opponent's characters or leaders a -1. So he gave my leader -1k, swings 5 at me with the Luffy, and I go deciding on which one I'm gonna want to rest. I go ahead and rest his leader, because I know if he swings 7 as opposed to 6, not that I was gonna be able to counter out regardless, but now he's gonna swing a big number because of Dragon's ability. So he swings 7, I take it. I'm not countering out of that whatsoever, and we got the Hody Jones out of life. I was debating on playing a blocker or a couple of blockers, but I was like, I don't know if that's a great play. The Karasu is going to be really annoying later on. Just keep minusing 1k to my leader. I'm going to have to take more cards out of my hand or just keep on playing blockers. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to play this Hody Jones. I'm going to swing at his board, get my 2 down active because of Cavendish's ability, and just start getting rid of characters on field, because I am not trying to mess with that Karasu or that Luffy. So I swing 8 into the Karasu. Opponent's thinking about it, and he doesn't give it to me. He doesn't give me more cards out of hand. He decides to let it go, and I swing 5 at the Luffy, and I probably should have swung 6, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna use the more pizza to be able to keep looking. So he doesn't. Works out in my favor, and 3 Bonnies and 2 Urog. So I was like, you know what, take the Bonney. I'm not gonna play it out. Just keep my Don active. I know he doesn't have any characters on field, so he could swing and then play something, which is exactly what he does. So it kind of makes Bonney's effect a little useless at this point, but it's still alright. We still got a bunch of blockers, still got a couple 1Ks, 2 life. We're an okay deal. He plays a kid killer. I was like, damn, that's a great play, because now it takes a lot harder for me to counter out. And I believe he plays the second one. Yep, plays 2 kid killers. Looking really scary for me at this point because he has 4 life, 3 cards, 3 characters on field. I have 1 life, so I was like, yeah, I gotta counter out. And I have all these blockers now. So now is definitely gonna be a time where I want to play the kid. So I play and rest a Bartolomeo because I know I'll get the down back with Cavendish. Swing 6 into a kid killer. I'm honestly expecting him to counter out. And then I have the 2 down active to do with what I need. He lets it die, so that kind of tells me what's in his hand now. It doesn't have very much counter, if any counter at all. So he lets those 2 die. I probably shouldn't swing 8, but I was kind of getting worried, and I was like, you know, I'm going to start swinging. I need to get his life down fast, because this is about to get really scary really fast. I have the extra kid. I could play a second one, which wouldn't be too bad. He plays this OPO1 Luffy again. I think I said promo earlier, but it's not a promo. It's an OPO1 SR Luffy. Don't think he has much of any kind of plays. I was really honestly scared of him playing the 8 cost dragon. Doesn't look like he has it. He played the Nami that allows you to attach 1 rested down to one of your characters or leader. That would have been great for him way earlier in the game. So now he's gonna swing 8. He has to swing 8 into the kid. I use the ability. I was like, you know what, we'll rest something. Might as well. No blocker, and we 1K out of that. And he has about 5 down left. So see what he plays. He plays the Lindbergh that KOs at 3K or less when that character has 7K or more, which is a good, but good thing about Bartolomeo is at a 4K. So unless he has something to minus, I think we're gonna be doing all right. So now I was like, you know, I'm gonna just start pushing for game. I know he didn't have very much counter, so I just did 7, 8. And now I was gonna play a blocker and swing with Cavendish just to have that. He gives me the radical beam because he left one up. Then I was like, alright, play the Barto, swing. I was gonna swing bigger, but I was like, you know what? He doesn't have counters in hand, so we go 7. Then I swing. I was like, you know what? Let's see if he has more counter, any counter at all. So I swing 8. I think he takes, yeah. And then we swing 9. And I believe he had enough counter for this. So he gives me a 2-2 and a 1. So he got out of that. But I was like, alright, this is still a little scary now. He has 4 attacks for sure. But he has to get through a blocker. I have 1K in hand, and he has to get through my Eustace kid, and then a life, and then has to hit me. So I was feeling pretty decent. It was scary that he countered out, but he plays the Monkey D. Luffy. That 2 down attached, it is unblockable, so I can't use a blocker. So for whatever reason, he moves 2 down there, and then another one over, which is all right. So it's I guess play with his rested down. That was a good way to do that. I actually wasn't even thinking about that. But now that he swings 9. I try to block, but then I'm like, okay, right, I can't block. I only had a 1K, so I couldn't save it. The Captain Kid is dead. But realistically, he's got 2 viable swings. He could swing with the Nami, but he's already moved the Don over, so he can't use lead ability, so it's not going to be able to do that much damage. He swings 6 at lead. I was like, either going to block or take. No funny business. I'm just going to block. And then he swings 7 with Lindbergh at life. I'll just take it because I know next turn is game. And I was just reading to see what it KOs exactly. But yeah, I got Hawkins out of life. And then we just swing the 8 because I know we can't get out of 8 just to make sure we get game. And yeah, that is game 1 against Reagan. Alright guys, we got game number 2 here against the Boa Hancock. This is a little bit of a rough matchup. I believe I took second. I wasn't sure what to take. Wasn't sure what turn I wanted to go, but I mulliganed my hand. My first hand was probably honestly decent enough to keep playing, because now you got 2 Zoros and a kid, so this is all about late game. So it was a good thing that I had some searchers. I had the more pizza to grab another 2k. At this point I figured I was going to need it to be able to counter a little bit early so I could play out my kid and then play out my Zoro. It's a little bit scary to play these guys though, because Boa does have removal for a lot of stuff. And we get another 2k out of life. He swung 6. I was like, you know, alright, first life, we'll take it. But we don't have any early plays. We have 0 early plays. It's all 2Ks right now. I was almost half debating about, and we get another 2K. I was half debating playing out some other one of my 2-cost guys just so they could rest their down. I know they don't really use too much events while we were attacking, but it's a good thing that we got the Bonney though. Searched into a Hawkins, which is going to be great. We're at 4 down, so next turn we get to play him, and it's going to be a little bit harder for the Boa to get rid of it now, because we have Sengoku and the Tashigi's on field. But fortunately, this Boa plays out a pudding, which kind of fixes our hand, right? Takes a lot of the 2Ks out, but now we have some gameplay here. And I decided to just rest one of the Tashigi's. I was thinking about why he wasn't swinging at the Bonney. I just took the 6. I was like, okay, if he doesn't swing at the Bonney, we're looking pretty good. But he ended up swinging at the Bonney, with the Sengokus. So now I was thinking, all right, what do we play? Like, maybe I play the Cavendish. Maybe I start playing the another Bonney to search again and just keep trying to get some kind of gameplay going on. And the Urog. But we also got a Doflamingo. I was like, alright, cool. Late game's gonna be straight. I played out the Cavendish just to make sure that I have the extra down later on. And I was thinking about, well, what do I want to do here? Do I just want to swing 5? I don't know. Boa is gonna counter out a lot out of hand early game, because that's what they do. They just keep refilling their hand as they bottom deck remove something, because her ability is, as if a card is removed from the field via one of your effects, doesn't matter if it's their own card or on your opponent's, then you have 5 or less cards in hand, you draw 1. So yeah, they're going to be countering out early, and they're going to be just keep drawing cards by bottom decking or moving stuff out of the field. So they swung at, I think they swung at us again, and I took the hit, or I drew. Forgot what I just did there. I think I surged. And I took the useless kid. I know it's going to be really good, so I decided to rest the pudding, and I got to start countering now. I don't want to get too low on life, because if they start playing big bodies, it's going to get scary. And they used the 3,000 worlds on our Cavendish, swung at our Bonney, play a Doflamingo. It's just looking really bad for us. It's not looking so hot. It would have been good to be able to play that kid, swing with Cavendish, and be able to use the ability with right away with the extra down, but unfortunately they 3,000 worlded our Cavendish. So now I'm thinking of different plays. Okay, I was like, search again. Perfect. We got a Basil Hawkins. We have 7 Don, but then I remembered that we had to rest the Don. So there's just a whole bunch of craziness going on in this game. My mind was not thinking straight. If you could tell, I'm not really a Bonney player. But so I swung 5 at the pudding. I think the opponent thought it was a 5k body, so they 1k and then let it go through. So I think this is a small misplay from them. They didn't mean to do that. I think they just meant to counter out to get the pudding safe. But I got to play the Hawkins. They swing 5s, immediate block. Swing 2 at the Bonney. I'm not countering for the Bonney, just let it go. There's no point. He's gonna swing at it 3 more times with the Tashigi and Sengokus. Bonney is gonna be forever going down as long as he has all that. I think he's trying to apply pressure by now swinging with the blocker. It's like, alright, that's cool, I guess. But now I just have targets. And I don't know if he didn't know the ability of Hawkins, but he tried to bottom deck the Hawkins with the gravity blade. Fortunately, he has all of these characters on field, which allows me to rest one of them and keep the Hawkins. And I decided to start getting a little more aggressive, swing 5, then swing 7, and play the Dofi. So now the blockers rested, the leaders rested, and then the Sengoku's rested. There's nothing else to play. Next, this guy plays the 10 drop Kaido. I have 3 or less life, so they get to draw 4 cards. Now, it's a lot of cards in hand, but from my experience, it doesn't mean much because Boa starts to get bricked up pretty quick with their hand. And I was debating if I want to swing with the Hawkins here. I was like, yeah, fuck it, whatever, why not? I'll just go ahead. Now they start giving me 2Ks, 1Ks. I'm like, alright, cool. Now I know that we're gonna be looking pretty decent because they'll be giving me their hand as I'm swinging 10s, 9s, 7s at their leader. They're not gonna have that much counter, you know, like they're gonna start having to give me 1Ks at some point. So alright, let's swing 10. Kind of just swung 10 just to see if they'll block or not. They didn't, so I was like, alright, let's start searching again. I honestly wanted another 2K, but so you just take the blocker. We take the blocker. We have an extra blocker on field. We got 2Ks right now. You start getting really aggressive. Need to make sure that I kept the 1 down for Eustace Kid. Don't mess that up. All right, I was like, all right, I'm gonna swing 8, and then I don't remember if I swing with the Hawkins, but I know I just want to start getting aggressive. He gives me a 2K and another 2K. Then I swing 9 at lead. He blocks. And then I was debating if I wanted to swing with the Hawkins. And honestly, I could have allocated 1 more down because I forgot about Urag's ability. Probably could have swung 8 and make him give me an extra card because now he's countering out with 1Ks. He gave me 3 1Ks for that to get up to 8K, his leader. So I'm like, alright, no more 2Ks in that guy's hand. It's a lot of information. So if I swung 8, would have been even more, but see, it's alright. So now we use leader ability to rest the other Kaido, and we go ahead and block out of that to keep the kid alive. Now he swings with Sengoku for some reason. I think he's trying to swing with Sengoku and Tashigi so that he could play Gravity Blade and get rid of the Hawkins. But I think he plays a blocker. Right. He plays a blocker, which now negates Gravity Blade because I could just rest that blocker if he tries to get rid of it. But he ended up playing Boa Hancock, so I was wrong. And he was able to draw 1 card, right? Because he bottom decked one of his cards. But yeah, he stuns my Doflamingo, which is gonna make this a little bit more scary. He has the blocker on field, and I think this is one of these plays I just completely misplayed because I was not paying attention to the field. So I wasn't paying attention to the field. I swung 9 with lead, he takes. I swing 7 with Hawkins, and then I put everything on my leader and I swung at face. I was not paying attention that he had the blocker, right? So there was a little bit of a misplay by me, and now I'm like scared. I'm like, fuck, this is gonna be rough. But he only has 4 swings. I have 3 life, and I have the Eustace Kid. So I'm like, alright, I should be okay, kind of, because Kid is basically like a blocker. So he swings 12. I only could get up to 12. Then he swings 12 at the Hawkins. I gotta let him go. It was a really bad misplay. Then he swings at Fate. Like if he had a 6 cost removal, that 6 cost removal for the Doflamingo, then I'd be really screwed. But he plays the Boa Hancock to stun my Doflamingo, and he plays a 3 cost blocker. Now it's getting rough. And I pulled the Scratchman of Pooh, but he only rests to 2 or less. So now I'm like, okay, this is gonna be really sketchy because I can only swing once. He has a blocker. I have nothing to rest because of that huge misplay that I did. by not paying attention to what was on his field. So I forget what I do here. I think I play the Urog and the Hawkins together so that I have blockers. Oh no, okay, I play the kid. Yeah, I play the kid, and then I put one down and have another blocker just to. Honestly, I think Hawkins and Urog might have been a better play because I could have swung 5 and then use Urog's ability. I'd have 2 blockers and then 1 life, but he's got 5 attackers, so this is gonna be really sketchy. 3 2Ks and a 1K, so yeah, it's rough out here. It's a really bad display for sure by me. He plays Crocodile. He returns a 2 or less, so he gets rid of my my Resonante blocker, and he draws 1 because of Bo's effect, and he swings 12 at the kid, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna counter out. Now force him to start, you know, put more trying to put more pressure onto that kid. I had exactly a 2 and a 1. I was like, all right, defending kid is basically defending my own life at this point. So we give him another 2 and a 1. Now he swings 9. Don't have any counter for that, and he's left is with 2 down. And fortunately, we get this W because after that huge misplay, I thought I was done. But that's game number 2, guys. Thank you for hanging around. We'll go to the next one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, final game. We get to go against Endel. So this was, I wasn't really sure how to go about this game. I wasn't too familiar with the matchup. Again, I'm not really a Bonney player, but I was like, all right, first hand was a no, and I drew into 3 Bonnies. I'm like, all right, well, at least I could search for my whole hand. So I play out the Bonney, I grab a Urog. He plays out the blocker, the 2 cost, which is like, okay, cool. I could just rest it though, and attack it, right? So he didn't attack my Bonney. I think he did that on accident. He wasn't supposed to, but I think he played first, then he was gonna attack, so he realized that he misplayed kind of. So he didn't attack the Bonney, so I just started searching. Searched again with the first Bonney, grab a Bardo, search again with the second Bonney, grab a Cavendish, and I'm living life. I have 1 more Bonney in hand. I could go and search again, so I go ahead and rest that blocker, let that Bonney die. Plays out a Neckhead Luffy. I was thinking about swinging 1 at the Shirahoshi, but I was like, nah, I'll use the Bonney as as a searcher. And then I get to go ahead and search for 1 with the Bonney. I was like, damn, I really would have liked to gotten that Zoro. That Zoro is huge in this matchup. But the only card that I could really get besides Urog was the more pizza. So I was like, alright, works out. I have an extra down left over. Let's go ahead and search. Next best card to grab, Basil Hawkins. Can't really get rid of that thing very easily, especially with the now all of their removal. Like if they play Raigu or Raigo, I get to rest one of their characters, and they almost always have a character on the field. My opponent plays Flampe to take a life and draw a card. I think he was really looking for the Gedatsu. From what I could see, I think he really wanted to get that Gedatsu, so I think he drew into it. I don't think he had it on field, or else I'm not sure why he would play the Flampe. But I was like, alright, that's fine. Cavendish goes, I have 5 life, and I swing 6 just to get a card out of hand. So 6 at the Luffy, and then we get to play out the Hawkins. I still got a pretty big hand. I got the Eustace Kid coming, and I got the 10 drop Doflamingo coming. I feel pretty confident in how this game's gonna go. I had 2 2Ks, and I had another Bonney Searcher just in case I needed it. I really like the Bardo plus Bonney play. It's nice because you get to have, if you have the Bardo on field, you could play and search with the Bonney, and since you're resting it with an effect, Bardo's ability triggers, you get to draw 1, trash 1. So my opponent here swung 5. Forgot if swung 5, and I forgot if I took or countered, and then I countered another one, and I just blocked one. I didn't want to take too much life too fast. Feeling pretty good about my hand. And then he swings 1 with the flampe, and he says oops. I'm not sure why he said oops. I couldn't tell, because he said oops and then he ended turn. I wasn't sure what he was referring to oops. Rygo would have KO'd my Hawkins because he had everything rested. And I think he was gonna try and play, but I think he was trying to play the 9-drop Yamato. But he decided not to because I was just gonna rest it and then probably swing really big into it. I think that's what he thought, and that's why he said oops, because he realized, I don't know. It's like, alright, well, if he's not gonna play any big characters yet, I'm just gonna play another Basil, give him another problem that he's gonna have to try and deal with. Because even no matter what he does now, unless he swings out and plays Rygo, these guys are staying on the field. I was also debating if I wanted to play the kid, but I was also a little bit worried about Rygo. I was like, I'm not gonna mess with it just yet. He plays the Yamato anyway, KOs the Cavendish. Cavendish is not seeing any life in these games, but as is expected, don't want to get that free Don for me. Kind of sucked for my opponent. I swing at 5 at life. He takes, so I'm like, alright, we could be aggressive and swing 7, start getting cards out of hand, right? If he gives me 2 cards, basically the 0 cost event, 0, play that card, trash another card, get plus 3k, which he did. And then I was like, alright, cool, time to play kid. Play the kid out with the Bartolomeo. Now he has to start trying to get rid of the kid. I have a lot of counter hand, I'm feeling pretty confident. Still, he's got 1 life. Then he plays the Katakuri and sends it to the bottom of my life. I'm like, okay, I guess that's cool too. I have another life now. I still have a lot of cards in hand, and I have a 10-drop Dofi. I'm still feeling pretty good, even though if I don't have that kid anymore, it should be good. Opponents only have 5 cards in hand, which is really good for me, considering NL usually likes to have a lot of cards in hand to make sure they counter out of whatever they need to. So he uses the Egghead Luffy's ability to trash my Barto, so he trashes it, kills my Barto, draws a card, swings 11. I go ahead and use lead ability against his 8-drop Katakuri because I know I'm going to play 10-drop Dofi next turn, and I decided to save the Hawkins. He doesn't swing with anything else, which is kind of smart, I guess. Doesn't swing with the Gadatsu or leader. But now he hit a trigger of Beige, so he chose my Hawkins, one of my Hawkins not to swing. He trashed the card. Swing 7 at lead again. I think he takes this. And he had no, he countered out. Okay, so he countered out with another 0 cost. And I was like, alright, cool, we play 10-drop Dofi. Froze his cat and his Yamato. Then he plays 10-drop Ace. Swings 10 at the Hawkins. They give him 2Ks. And I was like, alright, 2 life, 3 cards in hand. I have 5 life. He has 5 characters on field. I'm not worried about dying, because I know I'll be able to counter out at least 1 even if he plays a 10-drop Ace and hits me for face for 10. So I was like, alright, let's just see, test the waters out. So he takes the first 7. So either this or the next life, he asks me a question. So he asked me, does a trigger count as effect? And I believe it does, because it is an effect. So what I think, I wasn't sure what he was talking about, but after I was thinking about it, and I think he was asking about the Raigo trigger. So the Raigo or Raigu or I don't remember what it is. The Raigo trigger is you get to KO one of your opponent's characters that the cost is equal to or less than your life and your opponent's life in total. So I have 5 life, he has 1 life. He was trying to KO the Hawkins, but if he did that, he still had a Gidatsu that was stood upright. So I would have been able to rest it because of Hawkins' effect. So it would have nullified that Raigu. So it's like, okay, so I know what that, I mean, kind of gave me like insight. There it is. There goes the Raigo. He just trashed it. Kind of gave me insight on what it was. So he takes it, plays out of Shihoshi, draws 3, trash 2. I was like, all right, I'm feeling pretty good about going for games. Swung 9, swung 12. I don't see him countering out of any of this. And then we go ahead and win. But yeah, that was our NL game. It was a rough matchup. I felt pretty confident the whole time around. But yeah. Alright guys, final thoughts on the deck list. I love this deck. This deck is super fun to play. Playing the big bodies, playing the Zoros, playing the 10-drop Dofis, just stun locking your opponent's stuff. It's great. I love playing this deck. It's super fun. If I wasn't playing my main deck right now, which is Lucci, I'd definitely be pursuing after this Bonney. I know there's a couple like hard matchups. I know what's his name? The Red Purple Law has a good matchup against this. I'm not sure how this does against Black Yellow Luffy. I think this destroys Black Yellow Luffy from what I can tell, how this deck plays. But also against Lucci, I have a tough time against this deck when I play as Lucci, so I know it has a pretty good matchup. But yeah, this is my deck list. I love playing this deck. If I might take this to some locals every now and then just to have for fun. But yeah, like I would say 9 out of 10 for this deck. I really have a lot of fun with this deck. If you guys want to see any other decks, let me know. I'll try to make up some lists. But yeah, you guys should definitely try this list out. I'll definitely recommend. Alright, if you liked the video, comment, subscribe, like the video, let us know what else you want to see, and yeah, you guys have a great night.